So most people get it confused. They think that resilience is all about grinding their teeth and pushing forward, when the reality is that it's much, much deeper than that. Hey guys, welcome back to the Man of War channel. My name is Rafa Conde. Of course, a man on a mission here, forging you, building you into a stronger gentleman warrior. That's what this channel is about. Today, what I really want to get into, it's a virtue, is a component of really building a warrior man. We're going to be talking about resilience. Most men get it wrong. They think it's just about locking it down, grinding their teeth, and pushing forward. I say this, it goes much, much deeper than that. It's about changing the mindset. It's about affecting action in their life. And the bottom line, it's about actually winning battles in their lives. You can only get resilience once you've pushed through the most difficult facets of your life. Now, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you 3 of the most important elements, the most important components that pushed me to that next level. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back in my life and give you some ideas of how I pushed through the most difficult times, and I used resilience to help me forge forward. Now, one of the most important things for me was mindset, the way that I thought, the way that I perceived things, and how I reacted to the stimuli around me. So back about 20 years ago, when I went from being a Wall Street broker to a police officer, that was a huge transition in my life. I went from making over $500,000 to making $38,000 a year. That was a punch in the face. It was definitely a time in my life where I needed to reinvent myself. I did that because I was seeking that higher meaning, a higher purpose in my life. I wanted to go out there and do something worthwhile, something that impacted my community and impacted this planet. So I remember clearly saying, how am I going, and asking this question, how am I going to get through this difficult time? I remember our bank account was pretty much depleted. We've had used a good portion of our savings for about 18 months, right? And then it was, from then on, it was just, balls to the wall. I remember they repoed my car. They foreclosed on one of my homes. And we were in a terrible position. Resiliency came to my mind, right? How can I bear it out? In the martial arts, you have to focus, you have to drive through it. But more importantly, I was always taught to reframe the way that I thought. My mindset needed to be sharp. I had a huge mind shift. I started more and more believing in myself and figuring no matter what came my way, I was able to push through it. So I went out there and I started a training company, and I started to travel, and I went out there and became a salesman, right? Mentally, I was always a salesman. I was an entrepreneur, so I took that, and I did so many calls outside the United States because I knew inside the United States it was going to be difficult for me to build a training company. Why? Because I was a law enforcement officer, and there was too many angles that I needed to cross if I was going to go out there and teach different departments in the U.S. So what I did was I started branching out and went outside the United States. I went to South and Central America. I made contacts. I made phone call after phone call to see who would be interested in tactical training, until finally I hit it and I pushed through it. But I got to tell you, I had to be resilient to the point of no return, because it took months and months and months for me to stay on that route and know that there was going to be a time, there was going to be a place where I was going to make a pivot, and I was going to actually start making some money, more money than I was making, right? Because at $38,000 a year, you could not live. My God, think about that for a moment. You could not live raising a family of, at that point, it was 4 kids. So next thing you know, I had a solid training company with multiple contracts, military and law enforcement contracts, and I was traveling all the time. But somehow, some way, I pushed through it, and I started generating a nice income to start boosting my base salary in law enforcement to make it through this difficult, very difficult time in my life. And I did that for over 8 years. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you a breakdown of what resiliency is. Number 1, mindset. The way you think is absolutely king. Then focus. Do you have the capability to hyper-focus on the task at hand, right? It's not just good enough to have a vision. You must have a mission attached to that. You must have a strategy, a battle plan to get where you got to go. The next one, which is the final one, but not the least important, right? Everyone has equal balance, equal importance here, is action, right? You must apply. You must execute. So it's not just good to think about it and then have a plan. It's important to be able to activate that plan and to go out there and execute it and not be afraid to fail. That's the biggest thing. All right, so here we are at the end. I'm going to give you the 3 elements that helped me tremendously. First and foremost is to really know where I was at that time of my life. Some men don't even know where the hell they're standing. They don't know where they are in their lives. Make sure you figure out where you're standing and where you are in your personal life. Like, think about that for a moment. You know, are you strong? Are you weak? Are you confused? Do you have anxiety? How are you emotionally, psychologically? Are you just having problems everywhere? I mean, you have to know where you stand. And more importantly, I like to even say how you got there, right? Because really, knowing how you got there, it's pivotal. It's super important, because that's the next thing. It's learning from your failures. Do not be afraid to execute, because the way I see it is, I remember saying this to myself, if I go and I fail, that's fine. I'll learn from it. My God, you have to learn from it. You have to learn from these experiences. Like, if you don't have failures in your life that you can learn from, you're not going to grow. And finally, and take this to the bank, surround yourself with people who bring forth the best in you. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with a network with people that inspire you, that will bring you up, and more importantly, that will hold you accountable. Because you being held accountable will force you to be better. So these 3 elements right here, if you can bring them into your lives, you will build a tremendous amount of resilience, and you will be able to get through the most fucked up things in your life. Hey guys, if you're really enjoying this channel all about building yourself to a stronger gentleman warrior, I want you to do me a favor. Smash that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, like this video, and share the hell out of it. We want as many warrior-minded men as we possibly can to watch these videos. Of course, we need more warrior-minded men in this planet. May God bless you, and I'll see you next time.